to win, that can't happen. So it's life, but I like to watch.
About to go live on YouTube. Okay. So we're just about that at that time. So if you would like to participate in public comment, we need you to use the raise hand feature. That would be if you go into open up the participants panel in the bottom right hand corner, there'll be an option to raise hand. That doesn't mean literally hold your hand to the screen. As I said, if you go to the bottom right hand corner of the participants panel, you'll see that option. You can open up the participants. You can open up the participants panel by clicking the participants button at in the bottom of your screen. And then when it comes time for you guys, geez, I should have this down. I don't know why I don't have this down. Sorry, folks. Once you have your hand raised, I'll take down your names, and in the order that I see the hands get raised, that's the order that I will write everybody down. And if you'd like to participate in public comment, you'll have 5 minutes to address the council. That is agenda item 2 tonight. So as soon as that comes up, Katie, who will be acting the mayor's stead tonight, will open the floor for public comment. There is a hard close at 7 p.m. for raising your hand to sign up for public participation. So if you want to participate, get those hands raised and I'll get you on the list now. Let me send the invitation to Mary Jane.
Oh, hi, MJ.
How are you?
Good. Beautiful day, wasn't it?
Yeah. Awesome. So much to do.
Well, it makes you realize how much you need to do when spring gets here, doesn't it? Oh my
I
gosh.
know, really.
For those watching on YouTube, if you'd like to participate in public comment, you do actually have to join the Zoom meeting itself. The link to the Zoom meeting is in the meeting's agenda. The meeting's agenda is in the comment section of this video. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, open up the comment section, the description of the video, and click on the link to the agenda, and that'll bring you to the agenda where the link for the Zoom meeting will be listed. So if you want to participate in public comment, that's the way you have to do it. And you guys are welcome to stay on YouTube if that's how you prefer to watch this.
So at the moment, we have Katie, Walter, Tom, Dave, and Mary Jane. Are we missing? I mean, I know I'm missing folks, but are they going to be on tonight?
Michael Gold will not be with us today. He's got someplace to go. But Mike Nahom and Doug will be here. They have 5 minutes to go. Whoops. The important people are here, Stephanie. Come on.
I know. I got that, Katie.
What Dave said. We just need 2 of us. That's all.
I like committees of 1.
We could solve all the problems, right, Dave?
Oh, absolutely.
Little money. Throw a little money in there and we could get it. We could definitely get it done. Hi, Jeremy. How are you? Oh, there he goes.
We'll get to him. He's 5, so we'll get to him.
It would be nice if we could have a photo that would be what we look like all the time. No, really. The other day, I didn't realize that I hadn't put my camera on, and I had this ridiculous picture. But when I came back, I said, "Oh, I wish I could just turn off the picture and look like that." It was old. It was probably 5, 6 years old. Not real old, but old enough.
Every year makes a difference.
I know. Why didn't I listen when I was in my 20s?
Stay out of the sun.
Yeah. You remember that, right? Nobody did. Although you did. You did a good job.
Yeah, baby oil. It was always about baby oil.
And iodine in there, right?
Right, yeah. It's a good combo.
Yeah. How smart
She's
you were.
up on 6.
Okie dokie. Hi, Lisa.
Mr. Bear, it must be warm enough to get down to Iron Rail soon.
Yes, and they started to eat outside, Stephanie.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I tell you, I'm about ready.
I
More
saw
days.
people out on the sidewalk. It was such a
Yep.
beautiful day. Why not?
Oh, gorgeous! Absolutely. I am ready. We'll have to have a gathering, Stephanie.
Yes, well, we both have our shots, so we're
Yep.
safe.
Yeah, we're all shut up. More ways
All right.
than one.
All right, so we're just about a minute or so to go here till go time. So last call to get those hands raised for public comment right now, Katie, so everyone is apprised. I don't see any hands raised. Again, last opportunity, if you guys are watching at home on YouTube, if you want to participate in public comment, you do need to join the Zoom meeting itself. The link for the Zoom meeting is in the agenda. The agenda for tonight's meeting is in the description of the YouTube video. So open up the description, click on the link to the agenda, and then you can click on the Zoom meeting. So
Clever.
Mike Nahom's the last one we're expecting, Katie.
Doug? Oh,
Doug
there he
Doug's
is.
on.
Hi, Doug. Yeah, Mike
Oh.
Nahom. Michael Gold will be absent.
There he is.
And how do you like that? And Chris Cosgrove, too. I forgot about him.
Whoops.
I
Is he
don't know.
coming on? Is
I
he
don't
coming
think
on?
Chris is coming.
No?
Right, that's right. I think he said something about having to do something for work. Right. You're right, Doug. I just let it slip my mind.
You don't mind if I write that down that you said that, right? Okay.
That I forgot. If you want to write down everything I
My
forget.
house, I don't hear a woman say I'm right very often, so I'd like to write that down just for future references.
Oh, sure.
I'll put it in the minutes, Doug. How about that? Make it really official.
That'd be perfect. I can send it to my wife. I love that.
Okay. It's
All right, I got 7 o'clock. Meeting's yours, Katie.
Okay. If we could stand for the pledge in a moment of silence. Doug, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Doug, are you there? Doug? Would you lead us in the pledge? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey guys. I pledge
Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
for all.
And if we could have a moment of silence for COVID victims and for Mayor Bass's mother who passed away last week. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Michael Gold. It was Chris. Okay, listen up, Doug, because what I'm going to say, I was wrong. It's Chris Cosgrove who won't be with us. Michael Gold is here.
Oh.
Sorry, Stephanie.
That's
Okay.
right.
Mike Snella, do we have anybody hand raised for public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay. So moving right along, item 3, move to accept the consent agenda, item 3A, B, and C.
So
Second.
moved.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, consensus. Great. We'll skip over mayor's comments. Item 5 is Dr. Levin is going to give us a COVID-19 update. Can you allow him to speak, Mike? Snello? There you go.
Thanks, Mike. Katie and Council, a brief report today. Lisa, I'm sure, will give you and has got everything under hand with regard to Connecticut. So allow me just to focus on things that answer a few questions. A couple things important for us. We saw that AstraZeneca's vaccine had some very good results and were adjudicated. They're looking for an approval in the United States first half of April. And so I'm expecting that to happen. A lot of noise around this particular vaccine. And if you want to know more about that, I'm happy to talk to you about that. Another one which is really going to surprise you and surprise me is that we're winning the minds and hearts of those who want to be vaccinated. So what we're seeing now is that the vast majority, unfortunately, guys my age and who look like me are some of the guys who don't want the vaccine, but pretty much everybody else in the country is starting to say that they want it. A good 80%, whether you be white, black, rural, Latino, doesn't matter. You're getting an acceptance that people are saying they want to have the vaccine, which is all to the good, which means that the efforts that the town is putting in place, which are superb, are actually going to have a very solid result. So very pleasing there. On a global picture, it looks pretty miserable, to be perfectly honest. Brazil is completely out of control, and that's dangerous. It's dangerous because of what we spoke about last time we talked about this. You get too many variants. The more you give a safe haven, it's like letting letting Al Qaeda breed in the Taliban. You know, you get some pretty nasty characters happening there. And in Brazil, the more you allow this to go out of control, the more the variants start developing. And right now, there's no evidence that there's a really, really wicked variant. They spread faster, but we're worried, and I am concerned, to be perfectly honest, that unless we can beat back the spread from some of those countries and in our own country, having a safe haven gives a chance for this virus to mutate, and that could be very bad. Not only would it spread faster, but be more deadly. Right now, you know, it's the kids aren't getting harmed as much as we're very thankful for that. And although the elderly and those a little bit younger than me and upwards, we're pretty vulnerable. We just don't know what that new variant could be, and don't want it, that's for sure. And then lastly, I think just to say that the production across the country has ramped up hugely. So we got 120 million doses have been given out so far. That's only 15% of the population. But I think if you look at the curve is fabulous. And I fully predict, I feel comfortable in the assertion, it's not a prediction, the assertion that by July we will have covered most of the country, enough to get us some comfort that we've got a herd immunity of a kind that really can be safe. In the meantime, I know that a lot of restrictions have been reduced. It does give me cause for concern. We've seen some pretty bad behavior down in Florida, and hopefully people will be sensible, wear their masks, keep distancing, but at the same time, we are going to break through this now. And just as we said last year, round about now, we're at the tipping point in the United States. So I'll stop. Not so great abroad, particularly Brazil. Europe, complete chaos for reasons we can go into. The US really beginning to perform very well. Connecticut doing pretty jolly good. But Lisa, you have that under your belt, and looking forward to hearing that report. So I'll stop and answer any questions anybody has.
Anybody have questions?
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thanks,
Levin.
Doc.
Thank
Next
you.
item, Lisa Morrissey, update from our health director.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all. So I, too, will keep my update very brief. As Dr. Levin just described, Connecticut overall is doing really well. We're all very encouraged by the numbers that we have been seeing. We have been discussing that there is a slight uptick in cases over the last few days. In our area is no exception to that. We are seeing a number of cases. We're also seeing an uptick in cases in our youth, not attributed to return to school, more so something similar to what we saw last year when we had youth sports and things like that. So with people trying to get back to normal, we're seeing a little uptick with that. We're hoping that that's going to flatten out, and we're paying attention to that and tracking that and trying to reduce any secondary transmission from the cases that we are seeing. In regards to the COVID-19 vaccine rollout, things are going really really well. I think that the paper did a great job in really talking about, we were ahead of where we were expecting to be with vaccinating our teachers and our daycare providers, 2 weeks ahead of schedule, so much so that we were able to open up our vaccines to the public sooner than we thought we would. The state did approach us about being a regional vaccine site, and we've prioritized residents from the surrounding towns as well as New Milford for our clinic. At the clinics that we've been doing with our first public clinic happening last week, we're still seeing about 75% of those who are coming through our clinics are from New Milford, and the rest are coming from the northwest corner. Now that our clinics will be in VAM, starting with the clinic this Saturday on the 27th, I'm expecting that we're going to see a lot more diversity in who's attending some of those clinics, because once something's in VAMs, anyone from across the state can sign up for that. And to try to balance that out, we are keeping some of our appointments off of VAM so that we can make sure that we have enough appointments in reserve for New Milford residents, Washington residents, and others coming from the northwest corner, as well as our senior population. One of the challenges that we have heard in the area is that VAMS is only in English, so it's only accessible for those who speak English. So with a partnership with our senior center and volunteers, our call center is able to schedule appointments for those who are non-English speaking so that they can still have equal access to the vaccine. As you know, health equity is really going to be one of those components to really ensure that we have adequate coverage of vaccination throughout the community. So prioritizing that was also important to us, and that's also going really well. We've been doing Johnson & Johnson as well as Moderna at our clinics, with the majority of the vaccinations being Moderna. We are actually talking with Nuvance in the state right now so that we can offer our third vaccine product, which is the Pfizer vaccine. We had hoped that our own freezer would have been in stock by now. It's been back ordered for almost 6 weeks with no time frame in sight when that will come in. So what we're looking to do is to partner with one of our hospitals so that they could actually receive the Pfizer vaccine for us, and then we would offer that at our clinics. And one of the reasons why that's so important to be able to get that third vaccine with the opening of vaccines down to 16-year-olds, in less than 2 weeks, we need to make sure that we actually do have a vaccine product that is compatible with that age group. As you may be aware, the Johnson & Johnson as well as Moderna are for 18 and up. So to make sure that we can have that coverage within the community, we are working really hard to make sure that we have that availability. In the event that we're not able to receive the Pfizer vaccine directly in New Milford, we're working on backup plans, but I feel pretty confident that when it opens up on the 6th, that we will be able to have that product here. The other places that we're aware of that do have the Pfizer vaccine somewhat locally in mass quantities would be in Torrington, Danbury, and Waterbury. And the hope is that we'd be able to take care of that at home without having to send people on a half-hour drive outside of New Milford to get that vaccination. I think that those were our big pieces. The only other piece that I should probably highlight, most of our clinics have been happening on a Tuesday, Saturday format. As it gets warmer, we're making the transition to Tuesday, Wednesday format, and that really is responsive to both our vaccine shipping schedule as well as our volunteers and vaccinators who've indicated that Saturdays they may be less available as the weather gets a little bit warmer. So that's one piece to be aware of. And I know that there was a lot of publicity given to the fact that we vaccinated over 1,300 people in our first week. So the challenge with vaccinating 1,300 people in 1 week is that you have to give them their second doses, which means to keep up that pace, we'd have to do almost 2,600 vaccinations a week, which would be somewhat challenging when we are 97% driven by volunteers. So our new format will be closer to 1,000 total vaccinations a week, will be between 800 and 1,000 a week, and that'll be equally split between first and second doses. If in the event that we are going to be offering, we get more J&J from the state, then we'd probably be able to boost those numbers up a little bit, because then we wouldn't have as many second doses to worry about. And at that point, our plan is to go up to about 1,350, so 1,350 if we are able to secure additional Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The state has indicated that they don't anticipate sending much of Johnson & Johnson to local health departments over the next couple of weeks, and that really is constrained by the supply coming into the state. So because of the reduced supply, it reduces the availability to local health departments. And that's the end of my report. Thank you, and I will open it up for questions.
I have a question.
Doug?
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for your report. I have a couple of questions. One is, obviously, a lot of people in the early part where they got the vaccine, they had to travel far away. Like myself, I had to go to Stanford, and then my second appointment is in April. Is there anywhere in the network where you can get your second shot moved to a closer facility, or you have to go back to that same one?
So the preference really is from the state for people to go back to where they got the first. So that is a challenge. And it really depends. It's not an easy system. It's a federal system with VAMS. So if you had your first appointment with a clinic that was using a third-party clinic in VAMS, which you would not really have an easy way of finding that out. It's a little bit harder to move it. If you do want to get an appointment closer to home and you can't find it in VAMS here, then you can just contact the senior center and they can help get that scheduled, and we can pass that information out to the community as well. So we're trying to help people to get their second vaccine a little bit closer to home, but it is a little bit difficult because the clinic that did your first vaccination, they automatically receive your second vaccination.
Okay. And I'm just curious, is there a timetable, like say hypothetically somebody couldn't make their second appointment, is there a timetable that they have to get that second shot for it to be still viable in strength, or it could be further out another month or two out? So that's a question I was kind of curious about.
Sure. So it's about 12 days. So depending on whether you receive the Pfizer or Moderna, we're talking, anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks out that we're looking. So we haven't had too many calls with people. I would say probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've only heard about maybe a dozen or so people who are really up against the line. And we have been able to accommodate that here locally if they're having a difficult time when they contact the health department. Even if it's not a vaccine that we do offer, we do have a partnership with Nuvance. So we're able to get them into the CHC Nuvance site that's at the mall so that we can get the Pfizer vaccine. So if you do hear of someone that is in that predicament, please have them call the health department so we can get them prioritized.
The last question real quick. So what happens if they go over the allotted time? Do they have to start the process again?
It depends on how far out they've gone, but there are instances where they have to start the whole series.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
So, Lisa, is it 12 days out for Moderna and Pfizer if you miss the, say you missed your appointment for your second dose?
If you miss, if you're more than 12 days out, then there has to be a conversation to determine, what is the appropriate next steps for you.
So it's for both those, the same for both those vaccines?
Correct, right. And 4 days early is what you can do. So you can go 4 days early or up to 12 days late.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Lisa? Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, item 7 would be an update from our finance director, Greg Ospow.
Yes, good evening, everyone. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to Lisa and her staff from the health department and Jasmine and her staff from the Department of Aging for the efficient, well-run operation at JPC this Saturday regarding the COVID-19 distribution. That was a job well done, guys. Moving on to finance, the budget has been passed along to the Board of Finance, and the Board of Finance has scheduled their public meeting on the budget for Thursday, April 8th. Deliberations are scheduled for Wednesday, April 14th. The budget will be published on Friday, April 2nd. Expenditures and revenues. Expenditures on a cash basis are at 62.3% of budget. On a straight line basis, they would be expected to be at 67.3%. Salaries are within budget. Revenues are at 89.4% of budget. Taxes overall are 97.1% of budget, with current taxes alone being at 97%. Collections are running approximately $650,000 below where they were this time last year. I'm hoping this will be made up by the end of the month when the the program for deferment ends. The tax collector and I meet daily to keep abreast of the situation. Aging, youth agency, fire marshal, and parks and recs revenues are still lagging. The hope is that these revenues will rebound as spring is upon us and the vaccine is being administered and life will hopefully get back to normal. Overall, on a cash basis, expenditures total $64,460,005.26, and revenues total $92,734,626.24, leaving the town with a positive cash flow of $28,274,620.98. Questions?
Greg, I just could ask you, would you please repeat so that people at home and people with us can, the schedule for the,
Right. Okay. The public, the meeting for the public will be on Thursday, April 8th at 7:00, and the Board of Finance deliberations are scheduled for Wednesday, April 14th at 7:00. And the budget will be in the paper for review on Friday, April 2nd in the Spectrum.
thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Mike?
Thanks, Katie. Greg, how does the 28 million compare to this time last year?
I don't have that information. I can get that to you though.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
We will, of course, table the ED update as the mayor is not here. And we'll go to pension. Tom Pilla, are you with us? I thought I saw, there you are.
It's Tommy. Mike, it's Tommy.
Tommy, can you unmute?
Yeah, I sent him his invitation. Yeah.
Does he know he has to unmute himself?
He's there.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hi, Tom.
Hello, Tom.
How's everyone?
Good.
Tom.
Good, Tom. Thank you.
Good. It's I enjoy being in front of you and making this report. I'm more mono guy than a computer, but I listened into some of your budget hearings just to learn on how to operate with the computer today. So forgive me. I put together a 31-page packet. I want to see if the town clerk, and she's been very helpful in the past, will put together copies so I can get them to you. And it basically outlined the whole plan as of 7/1/2020. But as we sit here tonight, the plan value, straight value, has exceeded $70+ million. And it's been my pleasure to be the chairman of this committee with members with such vast knowledge of our government and investment knowledge also. The committee members are also trustees of the OPEB Trust. The membership, Walter O'Connor, who's the vice chairman, also the chairman of the Board of Finance, Frank Wargo, George Barnett, Ray Jankowski, former plan administrator, finance director, former finance director, and myself as chairman. Also, as part of this, I call the team, not just the committee, is Greg Ossipo and Greg Bolero. Couldn't do it without these two gentlemen. They give us such tremendous input. Greg Ossipo is our plan administrator and finance director, and Greg Bolero is our personnel director. I call it the pension team. The amount of data that has to be put together. There's 796 participants in this plan. And what I did was I went back to 2015 and I put together 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 actuarial report as of 7/1 of each one of those years. And you can see the changes in personnel that are employed, those that are terminated, invested, and those that are in pay status receiving a pension. You can see those names, those numbers change dramatically. Also in this 31-page document, you'll see the aging of all our employees. You'll see also the average pay scale of all our employees. As I Mary Jane, I agree with you on your comments with positions throughout the budget process, and I was listening, that needed salary adjustments. I emphatically agree with you. I'm a taxpayer and do pay quite a bit, but I think we need to address that. And I think that's a legislative decision, and I think it should be done on the town government side of the equation. They don't have bargaining units like our unions and so forth do. We're very fortunate to have staffing levels at the government level that do fabulous job, fabulous work. But if you look at, and I did some of the background work, other towns comparable to the Milford and pay levels, we're way below the curve. So Mary Jane, I agree with you. And as a legislative body, if you decide to put together a committee, my suggestion is to evaluate that. I'd be honored to serve if you'd like.
Actually, we have a job description review committee.
Okay, very good. Good, excellent. And the committee's put an enormous amount of time in. I should say that the pension team. And what's very important is all the documents. If you go back many decades, the documents and recordings were not like you have today. Today you have computers, we have people that really understand, not that they didn't then, but I don't want to denounce anyone, but the record keeping that's there now in personnel is fabulous. And don't forget, the school's also part of this, the non-certified. The teachers are with the state pension, the non-certified are with the town pension. That's why we've probably exceeded 800 participants as we sit here tonight. The plan assets grew exponentially. And you'll see that when I give you this report that we're in excess of $70 million. Great rate of return on investment. The upward pressure on the ARC, which is what you fund each year, some of that upward pressure is created by we reduced the discount rate. Now, what does that mean? The anticipated rate of return, it started in 1964 at 8%. 8% is a ridiculous number. So we're tweaking it down a little at a time to get it down to reality. Well, while doing that, that puts some upward pressure on the annual contribution, which in your current budget is just slightly under 3 million, which also includes for the unfunded liability and amortizing that. So the plan is strong and it gives the pension financial stability while taking the pressure on every year, some of that pressure off the taxpayer. So, and what I've also done, I've kept records and files, any newspaper articles involving pension, going back years, I've kept, just to see what other towns are experiencing. The state has a problem on their hands. Pension has been kind of ignored over the many decades. In many towns, they've had a lot of problems with their pension. And I've kept all those articles. Richfield looked to recoup payments from deceased town retirees because someone unfortunately moves on in life, and yet some of the pension actuarials, the pension plan, still sending them checks. How do you recoup those funds? So the personnel office, our personnel office, is working intensely with the actuaries to look at making sure that if someone unfortunately moves on, that the payments stop. Because try to recoup those dollars. It's impossible. The Milford, my opinion, is heads and shoulders beyond many towns regarding pension. Head and shoulders. Because over the many, many years, the town has not ignored it. They've addressed it. And like I said, newspaper articles that I've kept that show all the problems many towns have had. The state a mess on its hands, unfortunately. And it's not any fault of any governor. It's just something that's gone on for many decades. So I would like to give all of you this 31-page document I put together. And if you see the last 6 pages of this document, it's telltale to where we were in 2015 and where we are in 2020 and July dates. It's eye-opening. And those that are retired, we went up 78 people in that period of time. The vested, but not eligible to collect, we went up considerably. But in the payroll level, those that are employed on payroll, we went down a few. So we have less participants, active employees in 220 than we had in 215. So this document has all that data. I would like, at your convenience, and when you have the time, I know you're very busy, take a look at it. Any questions you have, send them to Greg Ossipal, Greg Bolero, and they will get them to me, and we'll try to address them for you. But you'll see this as an eye-opener, because this plan asset has grown tremendously.
Tom, might you, rather than hard copies for everybody, could some of us who would like to just receive it electronically?
All right, I'll try to do, yes, okay.
Well, someone will do it for you, scan it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any questions for Tom?
Michael?
No, Tom,
Michael?
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Michael?
Tommy, it's Michael Gold. I've got a question for you.
Yeah, Mike.
Thanks for all that you do in the committee and the team. Just amazing stuff. What is our percentage that we have funded right now? Is it 82, 83%?
We're around 85%.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
That's right about equal with the state, right?
Pardon?
Yeah, I don't think so.
The state should follow. Well, what happened over the many decades, bargaining units, and everybody wants to try to get more and better, and you can't fault them. But the funding of that was not done. And we've had a defined benefit plan now for 57 years. This plan is the age of this plan. It started in 1964. But when it started in 1964, and I've said this in the past, it was a one-shoe-fit-all plan. Maybe you had 5 police officers. Maybe you had, certain, I think there weren't any unions, nothing against unions. There weren't any bargaining units. It was all just general government. So it was a one-shoe-fit-all plan. But then as the time went on, the decades continued, each one became a bargaining unit, and each bargaining unit has a different multiplier, has different pension requirements. It was all part of negotiations. And, some employees of the town who spent their whole working career with us, 42, 43 years of their life, their whole working career with the town. So there's an actuarial benefit attached to that makes their pension retirement even larger. Very important to look at the aging of and it's right in the documents that I'm going to send to you, the aging of all the personnel and employee. When you get to 20 plus, 25 years plus of service, you're going to know at a certain date, they're going to come on the retirement rolls. So if you have 50, 60 of those people in that category of time on the job, so to speak, they're going to be coming out. So you got to anticipate that. If you look at the amount of people that are new, it's considerable, especially on the Board of Ed side, non-certified. There's a lot of new personnel, big change. But all these documents show that. And like I said, the finance department and the personnel department have done a spectacular job in maintaining these records. Otherwise, you'd be going crazy. And a lot of towns are suffering from that today because they didn't have the records, nor they do today have the records that they should have had. And I'll make sure I get copies of all this to you. It's I got them all numbered. There's 31 pages, and you'll see the changes in the last 6 years, like I said earlier, and they're eye-opening. But the annual contribution over the years and the past years has always been properly funded by the town. It's just that time goes on, the ARC contribution will go up a little bit because we're tweaking down the discount rate. And we're going to do that slowly over time so that it makes financial sense, gives the plan more strength, and gives the employees of the town and the taxpayers who are funding it some real sense of solidity in the assets of this plan that protect their employees, that they know that there's something there when they retire, and that the taxpayers' burden has been reduced. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very
Tommy.
much,
Thank you,
Tom.
Tom.
Appreciate that.
Great job as always.
Thank you. And I'll get you a copy of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next item would be for the mayor. We'll table that to our next meeting, which will be April the 12th. And is there any other business anyone wants to talk about? We'd have to.
Motion to adjourn then.
Yeah,
I just had.
Oh, hold on.
I just had one question on the tabling of the one thing. I haven't received the minutes of the
Yes,
discussion.
That's
Oh,
right. And yes, and I mentioned that I think it slipped the mayor's mind, but we'll have those.
Yeah, that'd be greatly
Yep.
appreciated. Thank you.
All right, Walter.
Hi,
Walter,
a
you
motion
said
to
what?
adjourn.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Hey, Katie, thanks for
Everyone
running.
have a good evening.
Thanks for running the meeting,
Bye,
Katie.
all.
Thank you.
Take care
Bye.
now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Walter.
Bye. Thanks, Katie. Bye. Bye.